I'm Elizabeth at A Literary Princess. If you are new here, welcome. I have a PhD in English literature with a focus on Victorian women novelists. And as you might expect, I love to read. Today I have a tag video for you, and this is the mid-year book Freakout tag, which I do every year at the halfway point in the year. And how are we at the halfway point? I don't know, because I feel like it should still be March. And it's not. It's June. It's not even like June 1st. We're like into June now. It's June 9th. So I don't know how we got here, but it's already time to be doing this. So I don't know who made this tag, unfortunately. It seems to have been kind of lost to time, but it's very common on BookTube to do it. There are 13 questions. You'd think I would know this after how many times I've done this tag, but no, I don't. So let's jump in. Question number 1 is best book you have read so far in 2026, and that has to go to A Life for a Life by Dinah Mullet-Craik, which I just read last month. This is a Victorian novel from 1859, and it is so good. One of the best love stories I have ever read. Like, ever. Seriously. I have a whole review. It is spoiler free if you would like to hear more about this. I won't go on any longer than necessary here, but truly this is the best book that I have read so far this year. And I don't know, I say this every year, but I don't know if anything's gonna be able to top this, because this was truly just spectacular. And I am so happy that I read it and would encourage all of you to read it as well. Question number 2, best sequel you've read so far in 2026, and that has to be The Long Game by Rachel Reed. This is book 6 in the Game Changers series, which is a hockey romance series. It is the second book focusing on Shane and Ilya. They are rival hockey players who have fallen in love. I really enjoyed seeing their relationship develop further than it had in Heated Rivalry, which is the first book focused on them, although the second in this actual whole Game Changers series. So would that make Heated Rivalry technically a sequel I read this year? I guess, but I haven't read the first book. So, do I read series in order? No, never, ever, ever, ever. But yes, I did really enjoy this. I won't say much because it would A, spoil the first book / second book, and B, there's not really much to say. I just enjoy this relationship and seeing it develop. So naturally, the sequel focused on them was my favorite so far. I've only read like 3 sequels though. So it's not as if it was a tough choice. Question number 3, new release you haven't read yet but want to. And I am so excited for this. I only just learned about this, and it actually only just came out in May. But there is a new collection of poems of the poems of Sylvia Plath, are edited by Amanda Golden and Karen V. Kukul. It just came out in May, and it includes way more poems than the collected poems of Sylvia Plath that Ted Hughes had edited. And I can't wait for it. I'm so excited. It's on my birthday list with like 7 stars next to it, because I'm like, Mom, if you can only get me one book, it needs to be this one. Because as much as I loved the collected poems of Sylvia Plath, I was very aware that there were poems missing, including one of my favorite of her early ones, the Mad Girl's Love Song. And I have confirmed by reading reviews that that is in this new Poems of Sylvia Plath, along with so many more apparently, and I just can't wait. Yes, my second Plath era is still going strong. Question number 4, most anticipated release for the second half of the year. And this is I guess it's book 7 in the Game Changer series. but the third book focusing on Shane and Ilya, Unrivaled by Rachel Reed. It's actually coming out at the end of June. And I think I'm actually going to pre-order it on my Kindle because it's actually not that much money and I really want it right away. And I know there will be a huge wait list at my library. Question number 5, biggest disappointment. And this has to go to Enamorada by Ava Reed, which is the first book in a new duology called The House of Teeth. Oh man, I gave it 3 stars ultimately because there were aspects that I really liked, including the main character, Lady Agnes. I found her very interesting. But it is set up in the summary as the story about getting revenge and uncovering like this forgotten, forbidden magic. And that really stops being the focal point, honestly, less than halfway in favor of a romance that I felt kind of meh about. So it felt kind of like it just switched what it was doing, and I didn't really appreciate that. I really like Ava Reed. I have read 4 of her books now, I think, and rated them all 4? Yeah, 4 of her other books, and had rated them all really highly, 2 of them being 5 stars, and then 2 of them being like 4, 4.5. But this one just did not work for me. It was very overwritten, which for me to say that like means it's like really, really intense, because Ava Reed has very flowery purple prose anyway, and I've always liked that about her. But this was just way too much. It was too long. The focus just switched out of nowhere, and some of the characters' choices were very frustrating. And the end I felt very strange about too, but that's all I'll say in case you want to read it. That all being said, despite the fact that it's the biggest disappointment for me of this year, I will be reading the sequel when it comes out, so, you know. Question number 6, biggest surprise, and this is the same book that I gave the answer to this question for the quarter year reflection tag, Mary Martin by Elizabeth Gaskell. I cannot say how surprised I was because I didn't remember this book at all. I'd given it 3 stars and had basically no memory of it, and it rolled up and was just this wonderful, amazing 5-star book. And I was like, where did you come from? I don't remember you. So yeah, I was very surprised in the best possible way by this. And it is my top reread of the year. And that's gonna be hard pressed for anything to knock that off. Even North and South, my favorite Gaskell book. I don't know, because the experience of rereading this was so fantastic that I think it actually might beat out North and South for best reread. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, biggest surprise, absolutely. Because when you've read a book already, you don't really expect when rereading it for it to just completely wow you. But it did. It really did. Question number 7, favorite new author, debut or new to you. So I do not consider an author a favorite author until I have read and loved at least 3 of their books. But I think that this author has officially joined the ranks because I have read 4 of her books and I have loved 3 of them. And one of them I think we can just call a fluke. But that author is Dinah Muller-Craig. So, A Life for a Life is the book that has just cemented her on my favorite authors list. But I have also read by her Olive, which I read a few years ago and I did really enjoy. I need to reread it though. And then also Mistress and Maid, which I read for Victober last year, and that was 5 stars. So I think it is pretty safe to say that Dinah Mullet-Craik is a favorite author now. But in case I'm not sure, I will be reading this month The Laurel Bush, and so my opinion on The Laurel Bush, if it's a 5 star or even a 4 star, it will definitely be like, yes, she's a favorite author. But I think yes, she's a favorite author already. Question number 8, newest fictional crush. Don't have that. I had an answer for that last year, and that was a very rare thing indeed, because I really just don't have fictional crushes, generally speaking. I want the characters to be with each other. I don't want to, you know, but so none this year, no. Question number 9, newest favorite character. And I think that will have to go to Shane and Ilya from Heated Rivalry and The Long Game. How much of this is to do with how they're written in the book though, or how they're portrayed on screen by Hudson Williams and Connor Story? I don't know, because I watched the TV show first. So because of that, I'm always picturing those actors when I'm reading the book. So like I said, how much of it is Reed's actual writing, or how much is the actor's really phenomenal performance? I don't know. But yeah, they're the new favorite characters for now. Question number 10 is a book that made you cry. I don't think anything has made me full out cry yet, but there have been 2 where I got like a bit teary, and that would be The Curious Kitten at the Chibi-Neko Kitchen by Yuta Takahashi, which is a book dealing with grief. It's kind of 5 interconnected short stories about different people going to this restaurant, the Chibi-Neko Kitchen, to have a remembrance meal for someone they've lost, and while the steam is coming off of the meal, their lost loved one appears to them. It's emotional, as you might imagine. So yeah, I got teary there, especially because the first character that we are introduced to has lost her brother. So that, as someone who lost my brother, that made me teary. The other book is The Long Game by Rachel Reed. There is a scene maybe just after the halfway point that something happens, and I'm trying to be vague, but yeah, I got a bit teary there too. So yeah. Question number 11, a book that made you happy. A lot of books have made me happy this year, but I think one that I want to talk about a little bit more is How the Story Goes by Andrew Forrester. This is a new release, a romance about Whit Longacre, who is a widower. His wife, Helen, was a famous children's author who passed away from cancer, and she has left him with the task of writing the final book of her fantasy series. And then Merritt Pryor, who has recently dropped out of her MFA program and gone to stay with her mother, and these two meet, and Merritt starts helping Whit write this book because he's really struggling, because his wife left no information behind that he can find. He's not a fantasy writer, and also he's grieving. And then the two of them fall in love. This was just so sweet, and I was like, oh, like, I don't know. And the idea of these two people falling in love while they're co-writing a book, like, it just made me really happy. And I thought it was really lovely. And it just made me smile a lot. Question number 12, most beautiful book you've bought or received so far this year. And that is Carmilla by J. Sheridan Le Fanu in this beautiful Pushkin Press edition. This cover is so stunning, so perfectly gothic. And look at the sprayed red edges And the back is really cool. It's got the outline of a castle on a hill. And I love like the Gothic font. And it's such a nice edition, and I'm so happy I have it. It's really pretty. The dark sapphic romance that inspired Dracula, it says on the bottom. I'm so excited to read this. And question number 13, the final question. Which books do you need to read by the end of the year? I would say the only books that I really need to read by the end of the year are the ones for my Elizabeth Gaskell project. So first and foremost, I need to finish rereading North and South, which I have started. This was my May book. Notice how it's not May anymore, and I'm only 4 chapters in. So this needs to get finished, like not just this year, this needs to get finished this week. Because come on. It's a book I've read a million times. How have I not finished this yet? And then there is the actual June book, My Lady Ludlow. July's Sylvia's Lovers. August, A Dark Night's Work. September, Cousin Phyllis and Other Stories. And October, rereading Wives and Daughters. Those are technically the only ones that are actually part of the project, but I also kind of have as part of the project first a bonus read by Elizabeth Gaskell and then a work of nonfiction. The bonus read is Gothic Tales. So I am reading her long fiction. This is not long fiction, it is a group of short stories. But I do want to read them. And I thought it would be kind of a nice little way to end the year is to have like a bonus Elizabeth Gaskell project video. So, and then for November, I want to read Elizabeth Gaskell by Jenny, is it Uglow? Uglow? I don't know how that's pronounced, but this is a biography of Elizabeth Gaskell that I want to read for November because it is unofficially nonfiction November. And I like to read at least one work of nonfiction to do with my project of the year. Of course, I would like to read far more books than that by the end of the year, and I'm certain that I will, but those are the only ones that I really need to read. So that is my mid-year book freakout tag. Not much of a freak out. I'm not freaking out, but it's a catchy name, so there you go. I'm not going to tag anyone because I think the people who like to do this tag will do it no matter what. So let me know down in the comments below, have you read any of the books I talked about? What did you think? What are your answers to some of these questions? If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to see more of my bookish content. It has been great chatting with you. I will see you soon. Bye.